Hey Brett, thank you for getting in touch. I'll work through your questions here and show you what the options are. Okay, so question one, can you place a 16th note triplet in the middle E and AND of a group of 4 16th notes? You can, but you can't have it written like this with those written as a triplet. Instead, what you would do is, I'll leave this as a straight ahead group of 16ths, so you would do a single 16th, and then you would do, this is 2 16ths here, so divided into 3, so that's the triplet in the middle too, and then a single 16th. So you can see we've filled half a bar here, so that's the first quarter, that's the second quarter. So that's what it would look like. So you can't do it with the beaming, but you can essentially do what you want. Second, can you place tuplets within polyrhythms? For example, placing a triplet into one of the subdivisions of an 8th note quintuplet. So the way you would do that is, it depends actually on how you want it to look. So there is a kind of nested tuplet feature in PolyNome, which is part of playlists. So if you were to create a playlist, we'll create a new playlist here. So in a playlist, you can edit and then you can add a nested tuplet. And so if you wanted an 8th note quintuplet, so let's say you want 5 notes in the space of 2 8th notes. So here you can choose 5 notes in the space of 2 8th notes, and I'll call it 8th quintuplet. And what that does is writes it in a way that it shows up as an 8th note quintuplet in the space of 2 8th notes here. And it adjusts the tempo underneath so that this would play as it's written in the context of other items in the playlist. A bit difficult to explain, but this was the only way it was possible to do it. But once you have this, you can then go in here and edit this, and you can edit those notes individually. So now you're essentially editing a bar of 5 8. So you could go to 8th notes here, and you could say 1 2 3 4 6, and that will be written as a nested tuplet like this. So basically you can do whatever you want. You would just consider this 5/2 as a bar of 5 8, and you can write anything that you could put in that bar of 5 8, and it will represent it as a nested tuplet here. So that's how nested tuplets work, but it's just within a playlist. Finally, can your app extend polyrhythms over bar lines? For example, a series of 8 against 3 phrases that extend over the bar line measure of 4/4. I assume here you mean polymeters rather than polyrhythms. So I'm going to load up a new preset. I'll call it 8/3. I think what you mean is something like this. So what you can do is create a grid here. So I'll make a 16th note grid. And then in this grid, you can say, I want to play every 8th note with the right hand. So when you enter a note like this, a sticking, it repeats it over this grid. So you can see it's going to play that on every note. But if I put some rests in here, now it's going to play every other note, now every 3rd note, every 4th note, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So this is going to play one beat every 8 notes, like this. And I can mute the click and the bar. So we're playing a note every 8 beats. And then you can edit this, and you have another line underneath. We'll play the left hand every 3 beats. And by default, this will go over the bar line. So I think that's what you were asking. And this is partially actually what PolyNome was designed to do, is allow you to sort of have over the bar line phrases very easily. And of course, you could have a sort of phrase here that was not just every 8th note. You could have something like this. Let's play on here. So we'll play something that's divided up like that. So So essentially, you can have any sticking you want, and you've got these two lines that independently loop. And if you, let's say you wanted to do 5/3 instead of 8/3. So we'll do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get rid of that one. So now you've got kind of a 5/3 polymeter. Did I do something wrong there? Yeah, I think I did 6. Sorry, edit that. I got an extra rest. So there you go, 5/3. So you see that the sticking changes on each repeat. Now, if you knew that this took more bars, you can actually you can add to the rhythm here, and the sticking just gets applied to whatever's here. So I can add another bar, and I could keep adding bars until I see that these things resolve. We'll keep going so that you could see the whole pattern written out. It looks like it resolves here. So I can actually just put in 2/16 notes here, like this. And that should be, oh, actually 1/16 note. And that should be where it resolves. Actually, it resolved much quicker than that. It resolved after 15 notes. So, but I'm giving you an example here of how the pattern, the rhythm and the sticking are separated. So let's delete these. And we want 15 notes, which is, I need 3 here. So I will do a 8th note here with a dot and do 3. That's the 15 notes for this pattern to repeat. And you can even have another sequencer below where you had some other things. So I could copy this pattern down here, and maybe I'll edit this to do a 4-way thing where you have a 7, which you could do on, for example, a kick. So 1, 2, I'll do kick and this L here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's put a rest there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you could have the left foot playing an 8 or just a 4, say. There we go. So now you've got this 4-way polymeter thing. So you can do all sorts of stuff like that, but that gives you the basics of how that works. And if you want, if you had something like this, and instead of it being a 15-note phrase, you wanted to play it over 2 bars. So I'll go back to this. I'll put 2 bars of 16ths, and then you, instead of it kind of going over the bar line, you want it to reset after 2 bars. That is an option when you've got the sticking selected. This reset, you can say reset each cycle. Instead of changing the sticking when it repeats, I'm just going to clear the sequencer. It will basically reset the pattern after the 2-bar cycle. And there's various other options like that, but I think that answers your questions. If you have any more, feel free to reach out.